we've talked about this already for the past couple of days, but the stock market is now collapsing a little bit. As you guys know, DeepSeek was like, oh, you guys are doing some cool AI stuff out there. China basically looked at America's AI tech, which I think this kind of exposes the fraudulent nature of the American AI sector in its entirety. But after half of a decade of like American tech CEOs saying AI is, you have to give us like $7 gazillion and also change the laws so that like we can kill whatever Indonesian children we need to kill in the farms, in the electricity farms as we melt the rainforest, and how AI is eventually going to kill all of us anyway. Oh my God, it's so powerful. I'm so scared of my own invention. Please give me endless money, please. Right? Like after American AI people basically just kept repeating over and over again how insane it is, right? How AI is dope and how no one will ever be able to overcome this American dominance of AI. Virtually a day after, or 2 days after, basically, the $500 billion investment that Donald Trump signed off on, the Chinese government was like, hey, by the way, we had a bunch of engineers that on the side looked at all of the open AI stuff and made their version of it for like literally $1. Hey, cool AI, we made one, and also now it's free, so we're just totally undercutting the American paywalled strategy of trying to make AI that is paywalled, and also we're just going to show you it's open source, so like you can look at it. You can open up the hood, look at it, try to comprehend it, understand that it's like not super complicated. Yeah, here, we made it for you guys made it for $600 billion here. We made it for $6 million. Also, in the process, the American government was like, wait a minute, how are you able to do this? You don't have the powerful chips. You don't have the microchip technology. It's illegal to export those things to you, which is the dumbest thing on the planet. In this global marketplace, America was like, no, we definitely have stopped the Chinese government from being able to purchase processors. How is that? Bro, you can buy a new Bentley in Russia right now. Like, I feel as though I think our American overlords, our American capitalist overlords, have designed an incredibly complex web that is interconnected, interwoven in many meaningful ways that we call global trade. And now they want to dominate that global trade by saying, no, we're the guys who control it. No, stop with this global trade, please. And they just can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. And it's very funny. I think it goes a little bit into the Genghis Gambit that I've talked about before, where once again, our adversaries are using our tools against us to dominate us in very meaningful ways, in spectacular fashion. And again, the Genghis Gambit only works if your enemy is a little white supremacist and operating on this like Orientalist notion that a Chinese peasant society would never be able to overcome, being the hyper exploited slave labor manufacturing hub of the world. They would never be able to, in a matter of mere decades, become a domineering force on the global marketplace. Like, that would never happen. They would never be able to make products that are competitive and if not better than the American versions because they're Chinese. They're stupid. Like, that literally is the reason why I think American capital owners were like, yeah, sure, you can take our IP. Make a cheap copy of it. Who cares? Like, whatever. And in that process, we will use your labor force as this super cheap manufacturing labor force, while undercutting the American labor force in and of itself. Basically, American manufacturers never foresaw the Chinese manufacturing getting to a point of competition where they would dominate the American manufacturers. That's why they did not care. That's why they were like, yeah, you can have all of our info. You can have all of our tech and make cheap Chinese copies of it. When in fact, those cheap Chinese copies year over year got better and better. And now when people say like, oh, you're going to get the Chinese version of this, it's probably a cheaper copy. It's like, no, in many instances, the Chinese version is the better version now. They make it for cheaper, and oftentimes it's quite literally better. And it's a big deal. I think the funniest part about the DeepSeek stuff is not necessarily that they're making a version of the AI that is like even better than the American version or anything. I think people are misunderstanding what I'm saying. I think DeepSeek in many ways just kind of exposes the fraudulent nature of like the tech sector. Didn't you cover Lina Khan's work on this before? I think we briefly talked about it, but yeah. DeepSeek just proved Lina Khan right. The former FTC chair warned that enabling protectionism for tech monopolies wouldn't just hurt all of us, it would hurt them too. Now they're getting wiped out. By the way, they did it a second time. DeepSeek launches Janus Pro 7B open source multimodal AI which surpasses DALL-E 3 and Stable Diffusion in benchmarks. This is why the timeline has been on fire and people are losing their minds over it. If the American marketplace was already under the assumption that like the Chinese government or Chinese corporations have the capacity to create competitive products, especially at a much lower price point, this would not be as shocking. You would not experience market shocks in the way that you're currently experiencing them, because you would have already hedged your bets against that sort of thing, as informed investors would look at this and go, of course that's the case. If our approach to AI was not dissimilar to the Chinese one, where the attitude was, well, this is supposed to be, especially in its infancy, something that should be given to the world, partially because it must be open source because of the necessary training, but also because like this isn't supposed to be a tool that is paywalled, but instead a tool that advances society, this would not be the case. Like my attitude on this has not changed. I still think it's slop. Like my attitude on this has not changed. AI is an incredibly valuable tool for the future, okay? It's a tool nonetheless. Unfortunately, under capitalism, all new technological innovations are used in one direction and one direction only. That is to displace the existing labor force, right? AI must be a tool for the people and not for the bosses. This is something that we have to regulate against. As a matter of fact, the government is supposed to regulate against these sorts of things. But AI as it stands is absolutely in its infancy. It still has a tremendous amount of development that it must go through in order for it to be like a viable thing that changes people's lives in a super meaningful capacity. Over $1 trillion has been wiped from the stock market today. Nvidia has now erased more than $600 billion of its own market cap today. That is more than double the market cap of Coca-Cola. This exceeds the previous record of the biggest one-day drop in a stock history, which was when Meta stock dropped by $251 billion.
There is the question, I will say, Alexander Wang made the point last week, and it's become sort of the question mark about all of this, which is, he suggested on our air that it is possible that they were using some of the highest performing NVIDIA chips, perhaps as many as 50,000 of them, right, to build this model. Now, and they weren't supposed to have those chips.
Right.
If
so
that's true,
not the size.
The dynamic is different. Yeah. If it's not true, then maybe all bets are off. It's possible, by the way, even if it is true, meaning even if they use those chips to create this, or at least partially to create this, it is still a significantly more efficient and better model. I think everybody agrees that right this moment, I mean, I don't know if did you get to play? It is mind-blowing.
It looks really great. I mean, it feels like it's open source, so people can test this out themselves.
But I can tell you all the tests that I do just to see whether I think the writing is better, whether I think that it can answer certain questions. Yeah. I mean, it was not only faster, it was more human. The reasoning is shocking.
Dude, I love this shit. I'm sorry. It's hard to not see a moment where, like, very clearly you can have so much technological innovation, not even have it be hyper focused on supercharged profits, and done under the watchful gaze of a communist government. It's crazy. Yeah. Ryan Grimm says, most people don't own these stocks, etc., but this is what it looks like to lose a global competition. The downstream effects lead to a lower standard of living for the losing society and a higher for the winners. But our tech oligarchs will remain wealthy beyond description no matter what. This should be an important moment of recognition for our American overlords to perhaps move away from the previous models. And I don't mean previous models of AI. I mean just like previous modes of governance. But of course, this will just simply lead to more xenophobia, specifically xenophobia. And instead of going, hey, maybe we should cherish international open cooperation and look to uplift society, we will continue trying to maintain the zero-sum singular hegemonic power status game that we've been playing. And the inevitable reality of that outcome is that if the other country wins, then we're in their mercy. Because if they choose to operate in a similar fashion, what if they dominate us? And that is the fear that many Americans hold. Meanwhile, this could be a great opportunity for everyone to say, hey, all right, well, it seems like China's coming up a little bit. Okay, seems like they're coming up. They're coming up big time. So maybe we should stop behaving like violent animals and seek to uplift the world instead of engaging in endless profit seeking. But of course, I'm joking. I mean, come on. That would never happen. No, we're just going to fight back tooth and nail. And the only things that are going to happen in the process is that just like the American workers are going to get shafted. The American government is going to get more aggressive, and we're just going to go down kicking and screaming. Yeah, it seems. That's what it seems like. That's what it seems like to me.
There were moments where I was like, oh my God, we are so much, you could feel the step change as a person. I will also say,
I love how much this guy's glazing it.
Exciting as it was, there was an element where I became scared because I thought, I had the opportunity to talk to all these people last week, and they all said the future's here, and da-da-da-da. And then you sort of see it, and you go, oh, okay, I feel you in a different sort of visceral way. So yes, I think this is all happening at a level that when you mark your sort of AI history timeline in life, I think this past week, today, and everything else will be on it.
I think, Mark,
it's just like a very strange thing where we see technological advancements. Like there's nothing, I think, more anti-human than being so profit invested, so profit slanted, and so I guess nationalistic that you see like technological advancements happening around the globe that will advance mankind, even though like AI in and of itself, once again, I'm gonna urge you to understand, doesn't matter if it's Chinese or American AI still is at its infancy. One day we will look back, maybe in the future, if we make it that far, if AI doesn't literally melt the planet so that the dumbest crypto guys can make their stupid AI art. But if that doesn't happen, one day we will look back at this moment and go, we thought this was fire. AI is actually something growing exponentially faster. I don't think it's going to flop like you seem to believe. Wait, what? I never said it's going to flop. I simply stated that most people at this stage that claim like AI is this world controlling superpower or whatever is just, it's scary. They're saying that because they want more money and because they want more control. Like when Sam Altman comes out and says, we got to rewrite the social contract. And then this Chinese project just comes out of nowhere and is like, oh yeah, you're going to rewrite the social contract? How about you rewrite your suicide note, Sam Altman? Because here's a better version of what you've been working on that you claim requires $700 grillion. Hey, have fun on your second round of fundraising, okay? Trust your gut on how useless this shit is. I mean, at this stage, I don't think it is. It's not autonomous and competent enough for it to like actually, write you a doctor's note. You know what I mean? That's it. That's what I'm saying. When people say we're gonna have AI write medical scripts, I immediately shut that out. I'm like, no, shut the fuck up. Shut up. You want people to die. You are a monster. Babe, it's funny to me that at a time when we need to pool our resources to mitigate climate disaster, we're focused on such a major energy suck that is designed to take our jobs. This is also a good point. But don't worry, it's not. It's not competent enough to take your job away at this point. But the problem is, I don't think capital owners care, where they would rather have an incompetent robot fail over and over again if, as long as they maintain a higher profit margin, than use a human being that's malleable, that's going to demand more down the line, that's going to have children, that's going to need benefits, pesky regulations, yada, yada, yada. They don't even care.
He said that this feels like the Sputnik moment for the AI race, where China is really stepping in. So not just what it can do, but what it means for American dominance in AI, what it means for the Chinese being able to step in, and to have the Chinese actually open sourcing it, meaning that is going to be what goes around.
Right. I'm at a major tech company. I've been having emergency meetings all day over this, acting like I'm not a card-carrying communist. Even the public crowd is turning on, but the CCP crowd pretty harshly. I'm watching years of anti-China conditioning melt away in real time. Reddit AI subs are all pro-China now. Oh man, that's crazy. That's crazy. Who could have Dude, what? Dude, what the hell? Stop. It's time, right? It's time for this, right? We got to do it, right? I mean, come on. 天上太阳红呀红彤彤耶，地上的太阳是毛泽东耶。